Pio. Interestingly enough, the trail has been named God Rides Straight with Crooked Lines, and that came from your very beautiful Bishop, Boyer. And it was so appropriate just because of all the different, struggles we've had, and how one day things are great, the next day things aren't so great. But again, we are convinced that God is with us, and He will lead us through this, and we will eventually, have that campus open back up again. Here's just a list of some of the other, saints that'll be on site. And what I thought was really beautiful, right at the end of the trail, we have, what is God calling for your life? So that's calling each and every one of us when we're there to remind us, what is God calling us for? What is He calling us for? If we're here, if we sing anything about St. Padre Pio, how are each and every one of us to participate in this? Is it through a financial donation? Is it through joining one of the prayer groups? Or it may be something else that, the Holy Spirit drops on you, that you want to reach out to us and help us see that Padre Pio's vision happens here in your backyard. And here's just an example of the chapel that we're going to replicate. This is the original chapel that was in San Giovanni Rotunda, and that's what we want to replicate on the land in Hull. This gives you a vision of the trails and how it's going to look, the parking and everything, and a little picture of the chapel up there in the corner. Yeah, that's a good picture of the original church in San Giovanni Rotunda that we're going to replicate in Hull. Now this crucifix, which is so important about this, it's a replica of the crucifix where Padre Pio was praying when he received his visible stigma. And this is being planned for the chapel. I want to go back to here. I want to tell you a little bit about more about the St. Padre Pio for the relief of suffering. And this is going to be a subsidiary of Catholic Healthcare International. And like I mentioned earlier, we are making some really great progress in this. Here's a statement from Cardinal Burke, just to reinforce, everything we're doing here. Cardinal Burke has been just such a great supporter of everything that we've done at the Christ Medicus Foundation and at Catholic Healthcare International. The St. Padre Pio School for the Relief of Suffering will train generations of physicians who understand and foster life from conception to natural death, who love as Jesus loved, are faithful to the magisterium of the Holy Catholic Church. And he just repeats, it is a noble and just cause. And he's been with us, right from the very beginning. Now, just recently, Tom Monahan has given us an endorsement for the college at Ave Maria University. And I know we have leaders of our team that are going to visit Ave Maria University. This will be for the second time in just about 10 days. And to further, see how we're going to make this all happen at Ave Maria University. It's a perfect place to have a faithful Catholic medical school. There's the picture and the endorsement from what's really interesting about this, Padre Pio said, from the beginning, the project was financed entirely by donations. He wanted no bank loans, but there weren't any bank loans available at that time. And even if they had been, Padre Pio would not have pursued them. And we are doing the same thing. There'll be no bank loans. It'll be the generous donation, of people that just love Padre Pio. A lot of times people will say, well, where are you going to get all this money? And I share this with you because I've been involved in different forms of fundraising. Wow, now it's probably 45 years. And what I found out, it's not always easy to get at first. But the Catholic business community in this country has been extremely blessed. It's not that the financial resources aren't out there, they're there. As Mother Angelica said, God's got a lot of money. And he's allowed a lot of Catholic business people make a lot of money. So the money's there, it's just a matter of prayer and people that have the money, are moved to follow Padre Pio's footsteps. I thought this was a neat quote by Padre Pio. This evening, my earthly work has begun. I bless you and all those that will contribute to the work, which will become bigger and more beautiful. Well, that's my story on Catholic Healthcare International in our work together to restore Catholic healthcare, beginning it, here in Howe. And I'd like to just now throw it out for questions that anybody might have. I did it in 45 minutes, dear. Oh, and I got one other comment. I hope I didn't let my brother Tom down. He was my big brother, and I always had to do as he was told. Until I got older, I never could. I knew I could never win a fight with him. He was always too big for me. But I thank God very much for my brother Tom and Terry. And the only other thing I didn't say, I really thank my family. And one of the great miracles that Peggy and I experienced in our work together in our crisis pregnancy center was, Peggy and I always wanted a big family. We wanted at least 10 children. And of course, I wanted all boys. And that was a condition I had when I proposed to her. She says, okay, 10 children, but not the all boys. But when we got married, we couldn't get pregnant and couldn't have children. And what then happened was we adopted as soon as we could. And then we started taking in pregnant moms. The first pregnant mom we took in, this was 14 years after, we were married, and the doctor said pretty much forget it, it's not going to happen. But Peggy got pregnant. And then a couple years later, we thought, well, maybe, why isn't it happening again? Well, maybe we better take another pregnant mom in. And we did. And she got pregnant again. But anyhow, long story short, we never got to 10 children. But we did get to 7. And we have 5 beautiful adopted children and 2 biological children. But Peggy and I are convinced that's another way, and a miracle to us, when the children he did give us, when we thought maybe we were never going to have any. So I had to add that to it. So, yes. Oh, I forgot all about the video. Yeah. I guess, it's short. There's a 5-minute video. Thank you for reminding me. Oh, Jerry wouldn't have been very happy with me. I knew I got done too fast. Oh, you need my mic. I wondered how that was going to happen. Oh.
I'm a hospital administrator by profession for 40 years, and I went right into out of grad school, went right into the
You get it?
wonderful non-patiently run healthcare system, Catholic healthcare system that I was so excited. So I'm a hospital administrator by profession for 40 years, and I went right into out of grad school, right into the Catholic healthcare system that I was so
I'm trying.
So I'm a hospital administrator by profession for 40 years, and I went right into out of grad school, went right into this beautiful.
Not gonna work.
Whole congregation they were on health with the Catholic healthcare system that I was so excited. And almost immediately, as I got into that, healthcare went through a huge transition. And we went from being a cost-based system into a diagnosis-related basis for everything.
Hopefully I did good enough job. But I would like to open it up to questions to see if... Thank you. Yeah, if anybody's got any questions, I'd like to try to answer them for you. Do I have to turn it? Do I have to turn it? Oh. Yes. Well, clinics are being developed. And because I know I'm involved in, putting different clinics together, but this is with my other foundation, the Christ Medicus Foundation. So we're going to be the arm, I think, that'll develop the clinics. I can talk a little bit about one we're now working on in Detroit, because I'm working with Monsignor Kasenke at Holy Trinity and St. Anne's in Detroit, and we're really starting to make headway on a clinic in Detroit. And what's beautiful about it, it's going to be a collaboration, with the Archdiocese of Detroit, Catholic Charities, and even with Trinity Health and Ascension Health. But it's going to be independent of the hospitals. So we will be free and we'll be able to control it, that we will not have to have any influence coming or being dictated by any of the hospitals of what we can do or not. But they want to help with this because they recognize, the leadership in the hospital recognize there is a need for good, solid, authentic Catholic health care. Especially right now, with a good possibility Roe v. Wade will be turned over in June. So everybody pray for that. I know it happened in Texas, and it did get to the Supreme Court, but they put it back to the state. But in Texas right now, because there's a clinic like Peggy and I founded in Fort Worth, Texas, and they told us since that Texas law, the number of women that now are choosing life for their baby has skyrocketed. So it'll make a big difference if Roe v. Wade's overturned. But that's a good question. Any other questions?
Are all the clinics mother-infant based, or are there other types of clinics?
Well, that's a good question too. Right now, when we work on establishing these clinics, one of the important aspects of the clinic is to have good, solid women's care. And so, but all of our dream for all these hospitals is to really have primary care from, even before birth till the grave. We always talk about from natural conception, till death. But particularly women in here, you all know that a lot of times there's got to be care, even before birth. I don't know how many people know, but we're struggling with a terrible fertility problem in this country today. It has just really skyrocketed. Young women, some of them just like we got a couple daughters, they just have babies, lots of them. But then there's others that, for whatever reason, have lost their fertility or are struggling with their fertility in big numbers. I know part of it's a birth control pill because they get on it and that destroys fertility. But so we need, very good care across the whole, stage of life. And we need it at the end of life too, because more and more euthanasia is upon us. Infanticide, trying to, keep even babies that might have something wrong with them from being born. Any other questions? Yes. That's a good question. Right now, we're collecting money from two sources. One is we're collecting money for the college, and we're trying to raise, is it $60 million total, Ann?
To start.
Yeah, to start the college. And because we know we can do that, I mean, we have the doctor that's got the expertise that's involved with us. We're real close to, finalizing a relationship to put the college at Ave Maria University. So what's holding us back right now is raising money for the university. That's the only thing that's holding us back. So we are actively, pursuing raising money. And we've gotten some, but we got to get a lot more. I mean, just the other day, somebody contacted us, God bless her, and she wants to give us $500,000, and she just says my kids don't need it, and I just feel Padre Pio wants me to give it to this university. But those are the kind of things that have been happening out of nowhere. Somebody just donates money, and that's what Padre Pio had said. Just go out and spread the word, and the money will come. I'm reminded of Mother Angelica. God has money. Just give it to us. But Mother Angelica, it was a much better fundraiser. So, yes.
So this is an evolutionary process. Is there a time frame that you're looking to say when this will have a decisive impact that'll take place?
Well, I'll answer the first with the college. I mean, if we can get the funding we need, I think we need it by by April. It will be 2025 that the school will open. Now, the shrine, if we didn't run into the problems that we ran into, in Howell, we were going to break ground from that last year. And of course, when you raise money for the shrine, you got to know that you're going to break ground and people are giving it to a building. So that's what's holding us back on the shrine. I mean, we'd like to do it now, but we got to get through this litigation, and how. Now, the hospital, all I can ask you for is to pray for it. I mean, a couple times we were thought pretty close to having something happen, but we are in negotiations regarding the hospital. But even if we get the hospital, I would suspect the earliest it would be in operation, the very earliest would be January 2023, but it would only be on a small level at first, and then we would expand it. But we would love to open up the brain injured portion of the hospital by January 2023. Yes? That's right.
And then the hospital is going to be where?
It's going to be someplace in Howell.
Okay, so it is.
Yeah, and the hospital is going to be in Howell. I mean, that's our vision. We can't think of a better place to be, near the shrine. And of course, with your wonderful Bishop Boyer, he's been so supportive of it. And we knew we needed to have a bishop like Bishop Boyer to make this happen. My wife's reminding me, she says it's not going to be it is going to be in Howell, but it's not going to be on the property we have. I think that's where people are getting confused. But it is going to be in Howell someplace. And I can't identify that yet because we haven't got through all the negotiations. And it's just, negotiations, we've been in it for 3 years, so sometimes it just takes time. So pray for it. I hope I brought you up to date. Yes? How soon? Well, we started it, but we kind of, pushed back on it because it's hard when we got donors that want to give money and they know it's in litigation, they're hesitant to give the money. And I don't blame them. We got to wait till we get through the litigation. And as soon as we know we can get on that site, then we'll start raising money again.
We do have a set aside, and if it doesn't happen, we give it back. So they can still donate.
Oh, Ann brought up something. We'll take money for the chapel now, and we'll give it back to you if it doesn't happen. If people are looking right now where they want to put their money, please do, and we'll give you a guarantee that we'll give the money back if it doesn't go, on that site. Yes. When I say that, yeah, that's our goal, to have in 2020. But that's because it's possible. It's going to depend a lot on how our negotiations go for the hospital. Right now, we're right in the negotiations of completing something. And I'll tell you this, we'll know more about that in June. That's the delay. And I hope in June we can announce that in 2000. I'm not going to announce publicly that we're going to have it in 2023. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but that's our plan. Oh, jeez. I forgot. I thought once I got off the... Well, scratch that part out.
Sit down.
My wife is saying, all right, I'll take two more questions. Yes. Right.
How will logistics work for those people? Because most medical schools have a hospital where the residents or students go to. Without hospitals in Powell, how will the logistics work on that?
Well, they will go to, we're already talking with different, Catholic hospitals right now. And, they will have it, a lot of times they don't necessarily have to have it, where a hospital is. You can have a medical school and then send your students, to another city. And we want to make sure they get to the right hospital to get the right training. So that we are in discussions with right now of who would do the training. What's holding us back right now on the medical school is finances.
Just to clarify, I understand the hospital and the third Shiloh wing will be in that same.
That's correct. That's correct. We thought we had it a little while back, in negotiations broke apart. COVID caused a delay, a big delay. It threw us back 2 years. So, but we think that's all coming out of it, and we're back talking again. So, okay, one more question. Anybody? Who wants the last question? Okay, listen, I thank you so much. I hope this has been... Oh, yeah.
Or go to the Catholic National YouTube channel, and it's the first video you will see.
That's even better.
Catholic Healthcare International.
Well, am I still... Oh, I break everything. I don't know how this stuff works. What? I did say thank you. Huh?
You didn't ask me to pray. And then said to pray.
I did through my tongue.
This was
still like to sneak in because we relieve suffering too.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
right. No.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, it's really needed. Badly.
It is.